Yeah, Christmas was good, different. So I was in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, this year. So a company out there called Astro Super Sport, who are basically sort of Southeast Asia's equivalent of Sky TV. They've got the broadcast rights for all of the Premier League games. So they flew me out there basically to be a pundit for all of those games. And it's myself and my good friend Gary Stevens. Gary lives in Thailand with his partner, so he's like the Jamie Redknapp, always the fixture there. And then there's two guests, so I was one. And then last time I did it was I had Claude Makelele. So you just have to kind of shut up and listen to Claude Makelele talking, and just, you can't compete with that. I don't know if he won the Champions League or, the World Cup and whatever, but you're kind of sitting there going, yeah, but, at Reading, we have the championship points record, Claude, come on. So that was quite nice. So you just listen to guys like that. So this year I phoned up the guy and said, who will I be working with? Scott Minto. Don't get me wrong, Scott's brilliant, lovely, lovely guy, but he's in my phone book. He's not exotic enough for me. I was the week before I went out there, they had a Berbatov. That's where we want to be. But no, Scott was brilliant, and he helped me. And I was a little bit poorly out there as well, so he helped pull me through because he's very, very professional. The big difference out there is obviously the timing of the kickoffs. So particularly in the Christmas fixtures, it was, first game was kicking off. We had 3 games back to back in the studio. I think the first one kicked off at something like 11:30, then 2:00 in the morning, and then I think there was one at 4:30 in the morning. And after a while, that's quite hard. It's great to be in Malaysia, but working through the night is quite difficult with the jet lag. But it's a great experience. It's fantastic, and they take their football so seriously. They love stats. They love the little stories about the players that you played with. But Malaysia, and Kuala Lumpur in particular, is a Man United country. Everyone's Man United. And I've got to be honest, I did 3 Man United games out there. And by the last one, where the presenter, Michelle, was asking me, Dave, just how bad are Man United? At 4:30 in the morning, it's very hard to come up with new things to say about how bad Man United are. But it keeps you on your toes. But it was a great experience. The kids had a great Christmas. Very, very different to what we get here. I mean, as we're doing this, it's snowing outside now. In Kuala Lumpur, it was sort of 30 degrees. And it's just a great experience. And I'm so lucky that somebody thinks enough of my opinion to fly me halfway around the world to talk about Premier League football still to this day. It's just, I'm really lucky and privileged to be able to have that trust given to me and to be able to say, what I think about football. So the philosophy behind the Dave Kitson Academy really is just coaching for all. So football is a global game, universal game. Everybody can play it. You don't need much to play it, and everyone can learn. You never ever stop learning. Even the best players in the world never stop learning. But we believe that there's a little bit of, perhaps some people miss the opportunity. Certainly some kids miss the opportunity. Perhaps they can't get to a venue. So our philosophy really is, we'll come to you where possible. We have hubs around the Reading area that we can go to and that you can come along to. So we can have 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, 4-on-4s, and we can do individual coaching as well, tailored to you and where you are individually in terms of your skill level, your experience, your age, and what position you play on the pitch. But it should be absolutely available to everybody. So we're already working on a project where we can help subsidise the cost of these sessions for low-income families. That's really, really important. The amount of stories I hear from people who say the parents can't get them to a session, and it's so sad, and it should never ever be the case. So we're actually looking now at a way of subsidising the cost for those families so that everybody can get the coaching that we believe they deserve. The aspirations for the Academy is literally just to coach anybody who wants it. Doesn't matter whether you're 4, 5, 6, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. I coached a lady the other day who wanted to do walking football. Okay, I'm sure she won't mind me saying she's 41 years old. She plays walking football. She wanted to work harder on her left foot because she was always getting in the position to shoot with her left foot, and was always a bit nervous about it. So I coached her to do that, and that's really the ethos behind it, is that elite coaching needs to be available for everyone, or at least should be available for everyone. So the issue at the top academies, the professional academies, is that they're under pressure to make money. So a Cat A academy will cost you £6-7 million a year to run. Well, in that case, you need to pay particular attention to whoever your best player is, because ultimately that's the one who's going to end up paying for it year on year. So your 5, 6, 7, 8, £10 million academy player, the problem is everything gets centered around that player, and everybody else just makes the numbers up. Now, they won't tell you that, obviously. They need a team to play around this kid, but unfortunately, that's where it's at. That's the pressure the academies are under. And that's the big, big problem with having to pay for an academy that needs to pay for itself ultimately. Everyone else gets left behind, and the kid who is the standout gets all the attention. Not all of them, obviously, but certainly at a few that I've been at, and at multiple age groups as well. There's so much pressure on those coaches to produce the next player, to keep the lights on, and to pay for the academy, that inevitably human nature will start putting all the stock into that one kid. And that's a real shame. And I hear that more and more from parents of academy kids that are coming to me for extra help and extra coaching. It's always the same story, and I've also seen it with my own eyes as well. So the aspiration is, where you get some academies that are not professional academies, but they obviously want to produce players to go on and play professional football, is that they too will put all of their stock in saying, well, we've produced this player, and we've produced this player, and we've produced that player. Well, what about all the ones you didn't produce? What happened to them? So for me, it's not about, if we produce a player that goes on to play professionally, that's great, but no more important than the 5, 6, 7-year-old, the 41-year-old lady who plays walking football, who wants to get better. I'll give exactly the same amount of attention to that person as I will the academy kid who is streets ahead of everybody else, because everyone deserves that level of coaching, and everyone has the ability to get better. So when those academy kids go and they go off and become professional, that's fantastic, that's great, and that is a big part of the game. But it's, how did we help these people here? How did we help? Did we improve them? Did we make their lives better in terms of football? That's what I'm most interested in. So not being judged by how many professional players you produce, but being judged by how many people will turn around and say, do you know what, Dave, that was great. That was a really worthwhile experience, and I'm going to recommend you to somebody else. That is the name of the game, and there's not enough, unfortunately, of that going on. So yeah, I've had to bring James Harper on board. So Harps is one of my best mates in, forget football, just one of my best mates, full stop. He's just, what you see with Harps is what you get. First and foremost, he's a great person. Secondly, he's a phenomenal coach. We work well together because I didn't come through an academy. Okay, so I see the game slightly differently to players, quite a bit differently, than the things that you need to work on. And Harps has obviously gone through the Arsenal Academy, had a really good grounding under Arsene Wenger, learned from the best players, Henry and Perez and all these guys, trained with them, and knows a lot of different types of drills, types of variations on some of the things that I would do. And some of the stuff, even when I'm watching him coach, I'm picking up ideas from him all the time, about, oh, that's a good one, I can maybe move that into a shooting drill that I'm doing and change it slightly. He's just fantastic. And he's brilliant with the parents. He's fantastic with the kids. You won't find a single person that doesn't like James Harper. Everywhere you say his name and people just smile. He's that guy. was a fantastic footballer, really underrated, but not by us guys that knew him. He is just an incredibly talented footballer. Bringing him in is obviously for two reasons. One, it's for the reasons I just mentioned. His drills are fantastic and he's a great guy. And I trust him with my life. And the second reason would be the academy's just gone mad. The requests and the bookings, I think we're maxed out now for January. There's no more, certainly with me, there's no more time slots left. So we have to bring in somebody else in order to provide new time slots. And so bringing Harps in is perfect in that regard. And he's been an absolute breath of fresh air. And there was one thing, and we're sort of reminding each other of things and, times gone by at the old club. And I remember when I left Reading to go to Stoke, so I sat next to Harps on a bus for 5 years. If you can tolerate James Harper sat next on a bus for 5 years, you're doing pretty well. So I had the patience of a saint, okay? But we used to sit next to each other. And the first day of the season, we were playing away at Stoke and Reading were playing away as well. And he sent me a picture of my empty seat, and it just had a message at the bottom saying, "I miss my mate." And I'm not going to lie to you, I had a little moment on the Stoke bus. Like I had a little moment where I had to sort myself out on the bus. I must have, this big tough centre forward that Stoke have just signed. The lads must have been looking at me thinking, what the hell's going on here? But he got to me, and there's not many people who can do that. James Harper is one. But if you book a session with Harps, you'll get value for money, put it that way. Rebounds are unbelievably important. The thing with rebounds is that they are one of my favourite things in the game of football. They are so important. It's amazing. There's not too many times on a football pitch where everybody just stops. And rebounds is one of those things. And you see some of those great camera shots of defenders looking over their shoulder and like, who's going to get there? Who's going to react? And I always think they're a great leveller as well. They're a fantastic leveller. So the reason for the shot across the goal, obviously, goalkeepers hate getting beaten on their near post. So they're willing to give you this side of the goal and back themselves that they'll get something on it. The good thing for us is if they do get something on it, very often it will drop down into that little greenish space where we can just get that tap in. But the work that goes into that is just, it's a great leveler. I don't care if you're Rio Ferdinand, or John Terry, or any of these other defenders. There's something about reacting first, about it, you end up in these little battles because you're going to have like defenders here, if here's your goalkeeper and you've got your defenders in here and someone shoots and then you're coming in to rebound it, you're beating all of these guys. You're at war with all of these people trying to get there before you are. And when you get there, when you actually get there first and tap it in, the tap in, all right, it's an easy finish. But the work that goes into this, to reacting, the quick feet, thinking quickly, trying to beat these guys, the world's best defenders, to the ball, sensing where it's going to come out, reading the game. When you do it, it's not just a tap in, it's not just the goal, it's you reacted and thought quicker than all of these people. And I still get excited now when I think about it, like that, they're the best goals. They are myself and Kevin Doyle at Reading used to say those are the best goals, not just because of the tap-in, it's all of this that goes into it. This little mini war that's going on just in front of the goalkeeper. So my old manager, Steve Coppell, he used to say, that's where the gravy is. Kids, that's where the gravy is. Make sure you're in it. Basically what he's saying is that's the good stuff. This is where you can really enjoy the game. Pit your wits against the best players in the world. Get in there before everybody else and react. And it's when it works, when you find yourself going forward and reading the ball and it drops exactly where you think it will, and you beat somebody to the ball of the caliber of a Rio Ferdinand or something like that, you get so much satisfaction from it. But it still amazes me the amount of times where a player will shoot, even at the top level. I've seen it in the Champions League and the World Cup, where someone will shoot, it will hit the post, or the keeper will save it, it will come back out, and the first reaction is this. And that's totally wrong. It's totally the wrong mindset. The first reaction, if you watch guys like Haaland and Salah, the first reaction, they shoot and they're almost following in their shot. It's unbelievable. Honestly, I hadn't seen it before those guys started doing this, particularly with Haaland. When he shoots, all of his momentum's already following the ball. He's already following it in for a rebound. And that's, like Steve Coppell says, that's where the gravy is. You don't want to be the guy who stands there like this when the ball spills out. It looks bad and it's totally unnecessary. It costs you nothing to have a little run in and a little gamble, but trying to read the game against these people here, these world-class players, and get there before them. For me, it's better than scoring from 30 yards. It's just like, to me, that is football. So one-touch passing is, for me, so football's getting quicker and quicker. So I retired 10 years ago, but I've spoken to players who have retired 5 years ago, and even when they look at it now, the first thing they're noticing is how fast it's got. And so I started to ask, well, why? Why is it so? Because we still had, you've got Kyle Walker playing today, but we still had Thierry Henry. We still had some incredibly quick footballers back when I played. So the speed is pretty much the same of all the top players. It's what's happening to the ball that's changing. It's getting moved quicker. And the reason it's getting moved quicker is because the one-touch passing is improved. But not only that, when you really, really delve into it, when I started playing, somebody would pass you the ball, you'd control it, and then you'd move it. That's completely changed. Then later on, somebody would pass you the ball, you'd be on the move and receive it and move the ball all at the same time. So your control became your touch into space, all at the same time. Now, you've got guys like Salah, Diaby of Villa, who can actually control the ball while sprinting. Messi was a big proponent of that. So he'd receive the ball, but he would be sprinting as he controlled it and pushing it into space while he's on the move. So the ball's coming at him quicker and he's moving quicker. And that's now something that's bled into a lot of players, a lot of different leagues all around the world, particularly in Europe. So that's the key difference, that the ball is being moved quicker. And to be able to have that touch under control on the move is a real skill. And that's something that we really, really practice, because it's not necessarily how do I coach kids for today's football, which I think is where a lot of academies are going wrong. It's how do we coach kids for where football is going to be in 5, 10, 15 years. That's the key. That really is what coaching is in a nutshell. Where are we going to be in the future? And in order to predict that, we have to pay attention to what's going on now. And if it's moving as quick as it has been, every 5 years it's got quicker. Why? Well, because now players are moving on the ball. Well, then we can coach that. We can figure that out and we can adapt it and we can improve it so that players are ahead of the game in 5 and 10 years' time. But that is, for me, that is the big, big difference in why football has got so much quicker. Crossing. So crossing, when I started playing, even as a kid actually, it's because it's quite a new thing in terms of how the game has changed and how that's impacted where crosses come from. Crossing, when I played, let me just see how these unfold, see if I can make a pitch. Right. Crossing always used to come from here. Out here by the corner flag, okay? Goalkeeper in here. Crossing used to come from, get the ball down the channel and cross it in here. Problem with that is, in the centre, in the area, that now is just a straight bum fight. That's all it is. It's just a straight fight between two players. You might get lucky, you probably won't. Crossing has totally changed. Can't remember the last time I saw a cross from here, this area, where it was always we used to try and get it to. Crosses now will come from here, this underlap, that underlap in there, to get cut back or put across the goal or wedged up to the back post, like Grealish and Haaland. So Grealish is a really good example. So Grealish's game in terms of attacking is trying to get there. You saw it in the Champions League here, cut it back for Rodri coming on. That was one version. The other version was against Man United, get here, back post, Haaland header. One in the first half, Onana save, one in the second half, Haaland scored. That is where crosses are coming from now. Either there or here, on the corner of the box, where we've seen guys like Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson putting balls right into that sweet spot, still called that corridor of uncertainty, where everybody leaves it and the striker gets on the end of it. The goalkeeper doesn't know whether or not to come. The defender's facing the wrong way. He doesn't really want to touch it, and the strikers can capitalise. But this is the spot here. That is where crosses are coming from now, right in there. And if you watch somebody like Grealish doesn't even move that quickly. He doesn't even move that quickly into the box. He'll roll his foot over the ball, drag the ball. He's trying to get into the penalty area because now you can't touch him. And he'll get right here. And the moment he gets here, you'll see Rodri coming on. Champions League final goal. And he's done it so many times, Rodri. I think he did one against Sheffield United as well. Or that one where you can just drop the shoulder, get to the byline from here and cut it, wedge it up for Haaland on the back post. That is the sweet spot now where crossing is concerned. These days of crossing from here, those days are over. So the hat, two reasons, right? One, it's snowing outside. So the date today is what? The 8th of January, okay? It's freezing cold, it's -2, it's snowing, it's horrible. The backyard is at the Copper Club where we are, which is a fantastic place, and they've been good to us, letting us film here. And we're very, very keen to promote local businesses. And we'll be doing a lot of these videos around Reading, various businesses that you'll all recognise. This is the first one, Copper Club in Sonning. If you haven't been here, come down here. The food is amazing, the service is fantastic. It's really, really nice. Very, very keen to promote them because they've been very good to us. But the backyard is flooded. So the Thames has burst its banks, it's flooded, it's freezing. That's the first reason I'm wearing this hat. Second reason is I coach at Reading Bluecoat School, which is just up here, round the corner. And I was asked by the head of football, Kester Buckland, to come and help with the team. So the team had entered 3 cups at the start of the year, had never been past the first round of any of these cups. And I think we started in August. We got to the quarter-final of the ISFA Cup, which is the Independent Schools Cup. Every single independent school in the country enters. We got to the quarterfinals, which is an unbelievable achievement in only 3 or 4 months. Lost to a team called Repton. Repton is coached by Luke Webb, who's Neil Webb's son, the old Reading player. Luke's a great guy, brilliant coach. So he's up at Repton now doing great things up there. He was at Bradfield, which Reading fans might know as obviously a very nice school just out the back of Reading. And we lost to Repton, but we gave them an unbelievable game. We conceded in the first 15 seconds, which is something you never want to do. And then they didn't have a shot for an hour. In that time, I think we missed about 6 one-on-ones. So back to the coaching drawing board where the strikers are concerned. But it's been amazing. And then the other 2 cup competitions we're still in. So we wanted to be in 2 the other side of Christmas, which we are, and we're in the quarter-final of those cups as well. One is a cup which is not only all the independent schools, but all of the state schools as well. So it's like the one to try to win. It's a good benchmark of where you are as a school, what level you're at. We're in the quarterfinals of that, and we're in the quarterfinals of another more regional competition as well. So the progress that we've made in just 3 or 4 months is a really, really good example of how everybody can get better. Blue Coat, which is what this jacket and this hat is, Blue Coat's a rugby school. Historically, has been for the last 40, 45 years. We had one football first team, and just in 3 or 4 months, we've maybe got sort of 20 players to pick from, and we've managed to get that competing with the best schools in the country, which is absolutely incredible. So hopefully this year, we're only going to lose a couple of players, a couple of sixth formers that will leave. Next class will come in, we'll keep the bulk of it, so hopefully next year we'll go some way towards trying to win something, which, given the fact that we're a rugby school and we've only been here 3 or 4 months, it would just be amazing. I don't think anyone could ever have thought that we would even be competing at this level, let alone trying to actually aiming to win something next year. So, and I obviously love it. They're a great bunch of kids. I love that school environment, and I just love coaching them. They're so receptive, and they want to learn and get better. And even, they don't go off and become footballers. I don't think anyone expects that to happen. But there's so many life skills in there that you can take with you from football that will serve you for the rest of your life, no matter what you do.